Which profession attracts the worst kinds of people? Stockbrokers. I have some friends who are stockbrokers. I love them, but man, they are some bullshit artists. And not like, oh, they're a good salesman, and could sell you anything. No, it's like they make shit up as they go along and try to sound confident in what they say. I have met a couple people who were successful, lifelong stockbrokers. To be a successful, lifelong stockbroker, you actually have to like what you do. They all had crazy eyes. Each and every one. Hollywood producer it seems. Over and over and over. Politician. Over and over. It is time to stop now, people. You gotta go home. My mom worked in a prison. She said that a lot of the men in there for sex offenses against children were looking for jobs like driving ice cream vans, dressing as Santa at shopping centers etc. as they liked kids sitting on their laps etc. Apparently it's way more common than people would think. I was a correctional officer and the people who were in for the worst crimes were always the nicest, most respectful inmates and looked very normal, whatever normal is really. I think that's what was always really creepy. I befriended a guy in county jail, the only person willing and interested in playing Scrabble in a room full of 50-plus guys. He was kind, giving, incredibly smart and cultured and I just assumed he was in for something like a DWI or the like. On my way out I was in holding with another guy who was in the pod with us and he informed me that David was about to stand trial for molesting his 3 daughters, aged 5, 9 and 12. He got 12 years, it's been about that long, wonder if he made it out alive. Sex offenders are notoriously well behaved. My stepmother, social worker, said when she was younger she would be relieved to have sex offenders assigned to her cause she knew she would have an easier time working with them. Not easier as in their overall case, just that they would be polite, on time, compliant etc. The executives that run MLMs. They're all bullies and manipulators. The worst kind of people that will tell you that your brother's funeral is a good place to recruit investors. They're all bullies and manipulators. The worst kind of people that will tell you that your brother's funeral is a good place to recruit investors. I had the creepiest guy at a family dinner want to sell me forever living products and start off our conversation by how he made millions for other people as if entice me into his bullshit. I was so put off by it I gave him the cold shoulder the whole evening, intentionally made him feel uncomfortable for uttering bullshit. I'm a consultant who had those executives as a client and I promise this is correct. When our HR expert told them that they needed a policy on diversity, equity, and inclusion, the CEO responded that they didn't need anyone in DC telling them how to run their company. Like, the HR expert wasn't even saying they needed it in an ethical way, just that they needed it to avoid lawsuits. The CEO still refused. So, legally exposing yourself to own the libs seems like a pretty awful type of person. In his defense, this is one thing minorities would be better off excluded from. Okay, so not really a profession, but there is a certain subset of musicians who are also wannabe influencers, particular people who are very on Twitter. So backstabby and clout hungry. I find it worse the opposite way, the influencers who try to be musicians. Influencers who do prank videos, try to be musicians, virtue signal, hoke * crypto, everything in the blank is bad. Influencers suck as a category. By definition they aren't even creating useful or interesting content that would be content creators. I have adjusted the spelling of huck to be equally representative of all viewpoints. Now if you say it 3 times fast, 1. You'll clear your throat and 2. An influencer will appear. Paparazzi. I don't particularly pay attention to celebrity shit, but I'll never forget when paparazzi climbed up the fucking fence around Michelle Williams, I think that's her name, it's been a minute, after Heath Ledger, her husband, died to fucking snap photos of a woman grieving her husband who had unexpectedly passed away a matter of days ago. I was pretty deep into my lil anarcho-punk, fuck mainstream media who cares kinda stage at that time, but I remember feeling such a deep sadness for homegirl that not only did she have to deal with her husband's untimely death and taking care of their kids by herself, she also had to deal with these grimy SMFs trying to make a buck off of photos of her sobbing in her own backyard. Social media has actually defanged them to some extent. If you want to obsess over every aspect of a celebrity life you don't have to buy the tablets anymore, you can follow them on Twitter. Wow, I never thought about this. It's probably incentivized celebrities to have a robust social media presence, money aside. I've always wondered how people who do this can square it with themselves. I just can't comprehend not being able to see that this is not the time for a photograph. Unfortunately, people also want to see those photos. That's a whole other can of worms. You say the public want it, but I've not met a person who gets disappointed they couldn't see a photo of a grieving woman. It seems more they get the photos, stick them in the places where people who want other gossip will look, to encourage them to look. If they didn't take the photos, I doubt any member of the public would complain to the media they aren't doing their jobs. Pyramid scheme. Property agents. I have had a few friends that have become realtors later in life. The ones that stayed with it totally changed who they are. After a few years they are hardly recognizable as the same people. Vain, shallow, and 100% of the time they are in character and trying to sell. Had a coworker I really liked a couple years back. Got tired of our shit pay and work hours, so quit and became a realtor. It's so bizarre how it's just become her personality. Her Facebook and Instagram pages are of her in professional attire, giving that South Park-style professional smile and stance look, and literally all of her posts are about selling houses. I guess I can't be mad at the hustle, but so weird to just ditch your whole personality like that. I thought I wanted to be an architect, but then I met a bunch of architects, and architecture students, and architecture professors, and they were pretty much all assholes. It was weird. I mean, how could it be so consistent? But there you have it. I used to teach in a program that often fed students into the world of architecture. Every semester I would orchestrate one charrette where I would bring in architects to critique student work. No matter how much coaching I did, to both visiting architects and students would feel crushed by the feedback. There were almost always tears. I often hear back from students that it was the most impactful part of our work together. I majored in architecture for 2 years, and to this day I remember the pretentious, arrogant, almost self-worshipping attitude that career field has. I met an architect back then that said, if he wanted to, he could design a house that would make a married couple get a divorce. Where do these people get off? For the record, I respect the profession, and there are definitely exceptions to the broad generalization in my comment. I have not met every architect, but 9 out of 10 that I have met are assholes. He was letting you in on a sad part of his life. He was going to show the floor plan to his childhood home. One of the big reasons I dropped out of the architecture program was that most of my peers were pretentious and hostile assholes. And the professors had zero sympathy for the fact that I had a part-time job I worked to pay living expenses. I was actually told by one of them that I should reconsider my goals if I couldn't commit 100%. In 1 year the people in my program destroyed what had been a lifelong career dream. I had a part-time job during architecture school and was given the same advice. I punched through and went and got registered and work for a firm now. I'll say this: I enjoy what I do, but architecture school only marginally prepared me for the profession. I'm glad I found a good firm, but I worked for years under terrible conditions for awful people, and it took me 10 years to find a decent workplace. If it's any consolation, none of the jerky people I went to school with became star architects. The egos, the hostility, none of it panned out. The nicest kids went the furthest. What they don't tell you is that architecture is a lifetime of learning. And only those who are open to the fact that they don't know everything are equipped to grow and change. Law enforcement, double-edged sword, because it attracts the best and the worst. The best in people who want to help, protect, and do good. The worst in people who want to exact authority over people. Power-hungry assholes who are insecure and have short fuses and low tolerance for defiance. If you can't handle someone defying you without losing your shit, you shouldn't be a cop. Spelling. Substance abuse. Mental health professionals seem to fall into one of the following categories. A. Wonderful, angelic, and highly competent souls who truly want to help drug addicts/alcoholics. There may be 20% of the counselors, optimistically. B. Burned out, incompetent/lazy/don't care types, another 60%. Or C. Absolute personality disordered, narcissistic/Machiavellian sadistic types who really get off on the enormous power/control they have over the lives and fates of the people under their care, maybe another 20%. YMMV. The last group can do a lot of damage. Elementary school front desk administrator. The trouble is the sh*t they see. My sweetest pie mother was one, and the number of non-custody parents who tried to check out a kid they had no right to take, and would get violent or aggressive when she said, "I can't let you by law," or the number of absolute Psychos who would try to sneak their way into the school, or the number of parents who didn't come to pick up their kid for hours after school ended and she had to decide between traumatizing the kid by calling the police, or sitting there for hours after her shift ended to ensure the kid wasn't alone outside the office. Dude, the job is rough. Thanks for watching this video. Hit the bell next to subscribe so you never miss a video. Like, comment and subscribe if you are new on the channel.